Sanibona, ngaphambi singene kwivideo namuhla, ngithi angithathe lethuba ngibonge isupport nothando enikhombise lona lingaphezu kokucabanga kwethu. Siyacela niqhubeke nisisupport njalo ngokubuka amavideo ethu, ungakhohlwa ukukhomenta, ushare, ulike. Siyafisa ukuzwa umbono wakho. Sicela ke singene kwivideo namuhla. Izolo bengibuka i-channel kaMighty Jimmy la akhuluma khona ngeloan ethathwe uPresident Cyril Ramaphosa. Ngase ngibona ivideo kaMzwanele Manye lo beka uchief whip we-MK party lapha eParliament. Inhloso yale video akusikho ukukhuluma ngazo izinto kodwa ngifisa ukuzicaphuna usala uzicabanga bese siqhubeka sikhuluma ngento yanamuhla. Ivideo engifisa ukuyenza namuhla ide ekhuluma ngendaba kaJune 16. Sizoza kulelo holiday lelo lapha ama-political party azobe ephumile wonke kukhunjula into eyenzeka ngoJune 16. Kodwa into ebuhlungu kunayo yonke ukuthi i-youth yangoJune 16 iyona ecindezela i-youth yanamhlanje. I-youth yangoJune 16 iyona engama-oppressors. I-youth yangoJune 16 iyayilwela inkululeko nokukhululeka bengafuni ukufunda nge-Afrikaans bebona ukuthi incindezelo ayilungile. Leyo youth leyo iyona youth namhlanje ebhizi ne-corruption. Iyona youth namhlanje amathuba wonke akhona benza sure ukuthi atholwa ama-comrade nabantu aba-associated nabo. Ngizocaphuna ukuthi bathene eParliament. Kodwa ibhlungu lento ngoba i-youth yangoJune 16 iyona youth namhlanje esiphenduka abacindezeli. Abacindezeli bethu bashintsha imbala. Abasekho mhlophe sebemnyama njengathi. Abacindezeli bethu manje yilaba abalazi kangcono usizi lwethu. Abacindezeli bethu namhlanje yonke into ihamba kuba mathina sizobavotela babe seParliament bahola imali ezinkulu. Bathuthe la sihlala khona endaweni lezi eziphansi bayohlala le kumasaba babe nama-bodyguard ingane zabo ifunde kuma-private school. Abacindezeli esinabo namuhla ngizocaphuna ke ngicela uzwe la.
The Minister of Finance has taken another World Bank loan. Another one. The ANC has historically been unwilling to take loans from the IMF and the World Bank because those loans have actually caused major economic crisis in countries like Zambia and Zimbabwe. And therefore, the ANC, trying to protect South African sovereignty and fiscal strategy and fiscal policy, was reluctant under Mandela, under Mbeki, under Zuma. That's only changed under Ramaphosa. In the last 5 years, the Ramaphosa administration has been willing to move like DJ Khaled when it comes to loans from the IMF, from the World Bank. Another one, another one, another one. And before you blink, another one. What's going on? Let's talk about it.
Ngiyacela nihambe niyobuka ivideo kaMighty Jimmy. Uzofike uzwe kabanzi ngalamaloni athathe upresident. Nanokuthi anamthelela mune esizweni. Uchaza kabanzi futhi yena uyichaza kangcono. Ivideo yesibili le echaza ngendaba lamaloni nobungozi bawo nobubi bawo. Sizodlulela phambili ke. Ngicela uzwe la.
So here's what's confusing, or rather what's worrying about these loans. 3 things I want to point out. Number 1, the Minister of Finance has consistently pointed out that one of his biggest worries is the size of the debt. Yet under his time in office, he has consistently signed multiple long-term and expensive loans. That seems to be a contradiction. Evidence to support my statement that the minister has been concerned. From his first speech in the 2021 medium-term budget policy statement, the minister spoke about the costs of debt and how debt is preventing South Africa's path to economic and social recovery.
Bazokhumbula uminister maka beka i-budget speech yakhe yakuwo lonyaka. Uthe izathu esenza ukuthi afuna ukukhuphula ivet ukuthi isikweletu asebenazo sesisikhulu kakhulu ngeke besakwazi ukuthatha ukuboleka more. So enye into engabalula ukuthi kukhushulwe i-value added tax. Ukuze kukhushulwe ivet nje ngoba isikweletu bese sisikhulu abengasazimisela ukuyothatha isikweletu. Kodwa yini ayenzile manje basithathile isikweletu. Bahamba ubuka le video kaMighty Jimmy uchaza kabanzi ngizomcaphuna indawo yakhe iphathi yakhe yokugcina bese sidlulela phambili.
And you know, this is what Johan Rupert said about them in his interview with Peter du Toit in the book Stellenbosch Mafia, chapter 3, page 51. This is what he said about the IMF. Let me read it for you. I think we'll be at the IMF in a year's time. The governing party don't know what's waiting. We'll either have an Arab Spring type event or Ramaphosa must restructure everything, and he cannot do it. The IMF, however, will force you to restructure. And if you think about it, isn't that the best thing that could happen to the country? Halve the public service. That's what I was talking about. Clean up state-owned enterprises. That's privatization. Look, the nationalists were rotten, but they didn't steal everything. These people, hey, whenever someone says these people are incompetent and they steal. You people, these people. He's saying it right here. Page 52 now that I'm on. The IMF will be a bloody fiasco. Ooh, fiasco. Left, right, and center. And that's what he's saying right here. The IMF will be a bloody fiasco. I don't know how many companies will be able to manage interest rates of 25%, 30%, but what's the alternative? I've asked Remgro and Rand Merchant Bank to come up with disaster scenarios. Every company should do it. Paul Harris says the IMF is a black swan. I told him, no, it's not. It's a serious possibility. This book was published in 2019.
Ya for ukuze indaba ephelele ngicela noyibheka le video kaMighty Jim uyikhipha izolo. Ine-information ebaluleke kakhulu. Eyesibili le video kulenye ngikhohle isihloko sayo. Ibalulekile ukhuluma ngalenda ama-IPPs ukuthi wayengasebenzi futhi ngeke aze asebenze. Asidluleke sizwe ukuthi utheni uMzwanele manje.
Thank you, House Chair. I rise on behalf of the MK Party to give notice that I shall move at the next meeting, at the next sitting of the House, that the House debates the unsustainable levels of sovereign debt incurred under the administration of Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa since he assumed presidency, particularly the billions of dollars borrowed from multilateral institutions such as the Honorable Members Fund, IMF, the World Bank, the African Development Bank, and through the issuing of Euro bonds in international capital markets. Despite these unprecedented borrowings, such as the 70 billion IMF loan in 2020, billions accessed from the World Bank Development Policy Loan Facility, and repeated Euro bond issuances, there is no proportionate evidence to economic recovery, job creation, or large-scale infrastructure development, just looting. The House must interrogate who has benefited from this debt accumulation and why these loans have failed to translate into tangible improvements in the lives of the majority of South Africans, especially the poor and unemployed.
Thank you, Honorable Member.
I-MK Party icela ukuthi iParliament mangabe liqala lihlangana alihlela ukuthi kube khona i-debate ke kukhulunywe ngalama loan aqala ukuthathwa uPresident Cyril Ramaphosa asewathathe ikhathi ilandelana it's 4 times ama-billions ngempela kodwa okungenabufakazi ukuthi abenefitha kanjani i-economy ngoba ekugcineni kosuka wayibenefit. So i-MK Party ithi no ake interrogate le ndaba ibhekisiswe. Ngiyafisa mina sengathi iParliament lethu abantu bakhona bakabe basebenze honest bayeke ukuba ngama-members ama-political party kodwa babeke izwe labo phambili. Ke kukhulunywe ngalama loan uminister bekakhala ukuthi akakwazi ukuboleka anymore i-service to debt inkulu kakhulu khona lapho uyahamba futhi yena uyoboleka imali kuwo lamabhenki. Ingakho ekugcineni kosuku lamabhenki azowisa umnotho upresident yena nefamily yakhe bazobe be-right ngoba unamabhizinisi kumanje labantu abahluphekile kumanje bazobe hlupheka worse. Ingakho ngithele angiqale ngayo le video ngaphambi nje ngidlule angazi noma ngidlule ngiyidlale lebe ikhuluma ngeJune 16 ngoba kwakhona kumanje nje uyona umoya wami nje lento le yenzekayo yokuthi yonke lento eyenzakala izobe icindezela thina nezingane zethu bona nezingane zabo zobe ingahlupheki bazobe bengahlupheki. So imkhonto sizophatha upropose ukuthi iParliament malihlala ke interrogate kukhulunywe ngalama loan ayisiza ngani country ngoba egcineni kosuku awa contribute ukutheni ukuthi ku unemployment rate yehle awa contribute ku economy ukuthi ikhuphuke kodwa kunalokho uyi looting nje yenzakalayo. Ya ngicela ukuza ukuphawula kwakho ngizwe ukuthi wena uthini ngalokukhuluma okubekiwe la.
Let us hear the voices of the youth.
House Chairperson, I rise today to make a submission on behalf of the millions of young people in our country, those who are hopeless, neglected, marginalized, and systematically excluded. I speak for the youth whose daily reality is shaped by poverty, violence, and institutional failure. I intend to present these sentiments as raw and unfiltered as they are, because to sugarcoat their suffering would be a disservice, and also it would be an injustice. I do so fully aware that for many in this chamber today, this process is merely a procedural tick box exercise. But for the youth, it is a cry for their dignity. I do so in a reflection of a fearless, united youth movement of 1976, and also the unapologetic 2015 Fees Must Fall generation. Between 2018 and 2025, South Africa has witnessed a skyrocketing, persistent crisis of youth unemployment, both amongst graduates and non-graduates. According to recent stats SA, youth unemployment between ages 15 to 24 has increased up to 62.4%. Crime has intensified, and gender-based violence has reached horrifying levels. We lose women and children to senseless brutality, yet we remain buried in action. In 2017, former President Jacob Zuma declared free education with an implementation timeline to be starting in 2018. The commitment was later reversed by this current administration, the so-called Government of National Unity, a coalition that I can only describe as an unholy mjolo that continues to betray the educational aspirations of the youth. The government does not understand the trauma of students studying without food. It does not understand the hardship of students not having proper accommodation. It does not understand the lives of students that have no access to sanitary products without safe accommodation. It is a government that fails to comprehend the reality that many unfunded students are pushed into dangerous circumstances wherein survival becomes dependent on transactional relationships with older men, often leading to exploitation, abuse, and diseases. Students from the poor are forced to drop out due to no funding. Young people are hopeless because of getting no spaces in higher education institutions. Young males resort to hijacking, stealing, burglary, murder, drug and substance abuse. 3 weeks ago, we lost a brother who was shot in cold blood while he was trying to reason with a young man who had broken into a house in a nearby area, and he had stolen a TV. Lawlessness is the order of the day as a result of a failing government. The GNU does not feel the pain of a black child who graduates against all odds, only to be barred from graduating and receiving their certificate due to unpaid fees. And even with the degree, employment remains a distant dream. House Chairperson, we are producing youth that is unemployable. What future is this? Others most recently went to the US and had the audacity to further pledge more exploitation of our mineral resources for the benefit of the United States, whereas our youth is living in abject poverty and misery.
Honorable Member, will you just take your seat, please? Honorable Member, why do you want to be recognized?
No, thank you very much, Chairperson.
Order, honorable members, I can't hear what the member has to say.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I wanted to check if the member on the podium is willing to tell us when it's Floyd.
No, honorable member, that's not a point of order, please. Please, let's be serious. Please proceed, honorable member.
Chairperson, the hiring of foreign nationals in our country takes priority over our youth in this country. As we stand here today, a university called Sapako Mogato Health Science University has hired at least 20 admin staff, whereas our youth is unemployed in this country. We have witnessed graduates and students of Teleso TVET College or TVET College in the Northwest who are now able to build robots that can assist both the deaf and the blind. We have witnessed students during oversight in the University of Technology that can build drones, build battery-powered vehicles, but are not given the support or the opportunities. Students in Obi College in the Northwest are able to even refine and process mineral resources to jewelry and value-added products. But this government still takes our mineral resources to other countries for their own benefit. Young people are very innovative, House Chair. Young people have the potential to become miners. Young people can process and refine our mineral resources to become value-added products. Today, our youth is ravaged by substance abuse. Many of our sisters are forced into sex work, not by choice, but by economic desperation. Others are coerced into exchanging sexual favors for even jobs that they qualify for even in institutions of government. Nepotism and corruption have closed all doors of opportunities, but to those that are politically connected, including children of ministers, friends of executives, girlfriends and boyfriends of those that are in power. Meanwhile, hospitals remain short-staffed while our young qualified doctors are unemployed. Schools are operating on a teacher ratio of 1:50, far above the recommended standards. Yet the budget says nothing about employing the thousands and thousands of unemployed teachers that are sitting at home hopelessly so. Suicidal rates amongst young deaf ears. Let me take this opportunity now to speak directly to the youth of this country. Bandabash, no one is coming to save you. The time has come for us to confront those who are profiting from our suffering head on. Let us unite. Let us visit the mines in Limpopo, Northwest, and
Honorable members,
all our communities. Let us visit the mines in Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and all our communities. Let us go to them and ask them, what do we benefit as young people from the extraction of our mineral resources? Let us go to Richards Bay Minerals and ask them, what role are young people playing in the local economy? Where are those hundreds and hundreds of trucks that go in, week out with our coal, taking that coal? And how are we benefiting as young people? Let us demonstrate not just a march, but an act of purpose and determination like the youth of 1976, like the United Fees Must Fall movement. Let us call out and isolate those who enable and perpetrate gender-based violence. Let us isolate our brothers who rape, kill, and murder our sisters on a daily basis. For hashtags, this is not the time for campaigns that die in news cycles. This is the time for real grassroots mobilization. We will no longer allow our mineral resources to be sold under our noses, under the pretense of building foreign economies while we languish in hunger. Let us end this modern day economic slavery. Let us stand at the gates of those that are exploiting our wealth, our futures, and demand accountability now. We refuse to be spectators in our own country while our land is overflowing with riches, but bereft of justice for its youth. Rise now, young people. Our future depends on it and that of our children, or let us watch it fade under our watch. We are not just the future, but we are the present. Before I conclude, House Chairperson, let me borrow from a few words of a living icon and a legend, Ubaba Mzwakhe Mbuli, when he reminds us in his words, when he says, Vuka Taki, Vuka Africa. Now is the time to break the mental chains. Now is the time for soul searching. Now is the time to retain dignity and power. Poverty has a color in South Africa. Silence is no longer golden. Silence is cowardice. The end of apartheid did not end poverty. The end of apartheid did not end inequality. Our minerals are still in the hands of the whites. Our economy is still in the hands of the whites. The weapon of the oppressor is the mind, and the mind of an oppressed black man. Ukulimala kwengqondo, ukulimala komuntu, ukulimala komuntu, ukulimala komndeni, ukulimala komndeni, ukulimala
brain is there damage to a person. Damage to a person is damage to the family, and that is damage to the community.
Let me share a few words from a speech that I delivered back in the years when I was doing matric. These, Honorable Chair, these were the words born of my conditions, which are conditions faced by thousands of hopeless child-headed homes today. No matter how good your excuses may be, no matter how much you can blame your difficult conditions, in our case, no matter how much we can blame the failing government, ultimately we have a responsibility to define and shape our own destiny. Rise now, young people. Time for rhetoric is over. Gwaza mkondo gwaza.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker is the Honorable Kanyile. Order, Honorable Members.
Honorable Chairperson.
Order, Honorable
members.
Members. Order.
Today we gather not just to commemorate a date on the calendar, but to honor the courage, the sacrifice, and the enduring legacy of the young people who changed the course of our history. On June 16, 1976, in the streets of Soweto, thousands of students rose up, not with weapons, but with conviction. They stood against an oppressive system, demanded the right to quality education, and reminded the world that young people are not just the future, they are the force now. Honorable members, what gave those young people courage to take their fight to the streets was knowing that what they demanded was within reach, and once achieved, would change their lives and those of generations that would come after them. Can we stand here today and say that the youth of today have the same hope? No, I don't think so. 31 years into democracy, our youth have been locked out of employment opportunities. Some are sitting at home with qualifications which are of no use to them because there are no jobs to apply for. We have a TVET college in Likwa municipality that offers business studies when we have less than 4 big companies that can absorb them. Instead of training our youth in agricultural studies in a province rich in agriculture opportunity. Chairperson, according to Stats SA, the current stats indicate that in the first quarter of 2025, South Africa's youth unemployment rate, defined as job seekers aged 15 to 24, reached 62.4%. This is a significant increase from 59.6% in the previous quarter. Too many of our young people are leaving school unprepared for the jobs of today, let alone the jobs of tomorrow. We face the unemployment rate that is not just a statistic, it is a national emergency. And behind every percentage point is a person, a young man, a young woman denied a career in tech, a rural youth unable to access online learning, a graduate with a degree but no direction. Honorable members, in this house today, we must all agree that broad-based Black economic empowerment policy must be scrapped. This policy from its inception has never benefited the Black people of this country, except for a handful politically connected individuals, such as the likes of Edwin Sodi. Every unemployed young person agrees that this policy doesn't serve them. And if it did, they're asking, why are they always going to bed on an empty stomach? It has also never been used as a lottery system where it ensured that every disadvantaged Black individual gets a slice of
Honorable
the cake.
Member, will you just take your seat, please? Yes, Honorable Member, why do you want to be recognized?
No, thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Just wanted to check if the Honorable Member is willing to take a question.
Honorable Member, are you prepared to take a question?
No, Chairperson, I'm busy here.
Please proceed.
Thank you very much. Addressing the issue of triple BEE, every unemployed young person agrees that this policy doesn't serve them. And if they did, they're asking themselves, why do they always go to bed on an empty stomach? It has also never been used as a lottery system where it ensured that every disadvantaged Black individual gets a slice of the cake. The ones who benefited at its inception turned into gatekeepers. They now feel entitled. Some towns today have groups of triple BEE beneficiaries who are now blocking contractors from doing their work under the disguise of demanding 30%. Triple BEE fuels criminality, and for this reason, it must be scrapped, and everyone must be granted a job opportunity based on merit. Honorable Chair, the world is not just changing, it is transforming at a pace we have never seen before. The fourth industrial revolution is no longer on the horizon, it is here. And in its wake, it is redrawing the maps of jobs, skills, and economics. We stand today at a crossroads between the world we inherited and the world we must shape. The fourth industrial revolution is not knocking at our door, it has already entered our homes, our schools, our workplaces. But the question we must confront boldly and honestly is whether our young people are ready to thrive in it. The fourth industrial revolution is changing the world of work, education, and innovation. It demands new skills, digital literacy, problem solving, creativity, adaptability, and entrepreneurship. Honorable members, if we empower the youth with these tools, we must grow our economy, create jobs, and reduce unemployment. More than that, we must position South Africa as a leader in global digital economy. Our curriculum must align with future skills, coding, robotics, and entrepreneurship into basic education. Rural and township youth cannot be left behind. We need digital infrastructure, affordable internet access and devices, and inclusive training programs that meet them where they are. Not every young person will find a job, but many can create them. We must invest in youth-led businesses, incubators, and financial support for young innovators. And this responsibility cannot be left to the National Youth Development Agency. Chairperson, we have no time to waste. Every day we delay, we lose talent, we lose potential, we lose ground. But every young person we empower, every skill we teach, every opportunity we open, brings us closer to the kind of country we all want to live in, a vibrant and growing economy, and a just, innovative, and prosperous society. Let us be bold, let us be agent, let us be deliberate about building a South Africa where the youth are not just passengers of progress, but drivers of empowerment. Let us ensure the youth in rural areas are not left behind. We must constantly strive to improve the quality of education, to ensure learners from previously disadvantaged schools become more employable and are equipped with adequate skills needed for the job market. Reviewing a curriculum to identify, address gaps in digital and financial literacy and STEM subjects. Providing robust pre-implementation training for teachers to ensure effective implementation of the curriculum. Establishing school evaluation authorities in every province based on the Western Cape model to measure, monitor, and evaluate performance in schools. To ensure that school leavers, job seekers, and those wishing to upgrade their skills are not prevented or discouraged from obtaining the skills they need to succeed. A national DA government would support the development of scarce and critical skills, expand the assistance provided through NSFAS, and implement a tiered funding model to address the missing middle crisis while always ensuring that adequate provision is made for funding poor and vulnerable students. Collaborate with private sector to enhance access to student funding, providing students with more financial options to further their studies. Young people of all races in South Africa, you are not too young, you are not too small, you are ready. You carry within you the fire that burned in your predecessors. Use it to create, use it to challenge, to dream, to build. And for all of us in position of power, let us never forget that the future is not something we prepare youth for. It is something we must prepare youth to lead. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker is the Honorable Dlamini.
Thank you, Chair. Greetings to the last president of the Youth League when it was still Young Lions. Today, there are kittens who purr at the injustice of young people, an empty shell that has dwindled into insignificance. Greetings to the President and the Commander-in-Chief of the Economic Freedom Fighters, President Julius Malema. Greetings to commissars, fighters, and ground forces. Before we proceed with the speech, we must debunk myths that have been said on this podium.
The member has the right to be heard. Even if you disagree with her, you can raise the issues in the debate. Please proceed.
They purr, they don't roar. Let us roar. The fiction here is that there was a time in this country where free education was declared. And we want to debunk that myth. That myth that on the 23rd of October 2015, it was not a 21st birthday party. Our lives were impacted by fees must fall, and there's never been free education in this country. House Chair, We must honor the fearless youth of 1976 who courageously spoke truth to power and made the ultimate sacrifice for the freedom we enjoy today. We also salute the roads must fall and fees must fall generation who boldly stood and were resilient to the colonial symbols and institutional racism, and their call for free, decolonized quality education reignited the ongoing struggle for justice, dignity, and transformation. It was the courageous actions of young people that shifted the balance of power and redefined the political landscape, demanding a radical transformation of the country's prevailing political zentagonist. Nothing about young people without young people. We gather here today to confront head-on both a profound threat and a transformative opportunity presented by the fourth industrial revolution. In this era, where machines think, algorithms govern, and data has become the new gold, the pressing question is not whether we will embrace the future, but whether what the future will serve the interest of the people, or merely entrench the power of the privileged elite. The fourth industrial revolution is not a neutral or apolitical phenomenon. As the youth of Africa, we must critically interrogate in whose interest are artificial intelligence, automation, robotics, and biotechnology reshaping the global economy. These technologies are not inherently liberatory. They are shaped by class interest, driven by corporate greed, and embedded in global imperialist systems. In the hands of the neoliberal elite, they become instruments of exclusion, exploitation, and deepening inequality. We, the economic freedom fighters, say no more. The youth of South Africa refuse to be mere spectators in the technological revolution. We will be its architects. We must refrain. The kitten must be silent and listen to the leadership. Because you failed to even speak on what the topic is about. We must reclaim the industrial revolution as a tool for liberation, not an engine of exclusion and oppression. It must serve the interest of the people, not the profiteers. We must wield its power to our advance and make it to better the people. House Chair, the struggle for economic freedom requires the full empowerment of the youth through skills development, ownership, and clear sense of purpose in this digital age. We cannot equip the future generations with tools for liberation by relying on outdated, Eurocentric, and capitalist curricula designed to uphold the interest of white monopoly capital. Our education must reflect African realities and prepare our youth to lead in a rapidly evolving technological world. We must decolonize the education system from primary school through to university, ensuring that it integrates the essential tools of the fourth industrial revolution, such as coding, data science, robotics, and renewable energy technologies, so that our youth are not left behind, but are equipped to lead in the shaping of the future. Our schools must be equipped with free high-speed internet, Wi-Fi, smart classrooms, and the necessary digital infrastructure. Every learner, whether in the township or rural village, must have access to a tablet, not just those in affluent areas such as Sandton. Furthermore, the data generated by our people must not be owned or controlled by foreign corporations. It must be protected and used to benefit our communities. Global tech giants such as Google and Amazon must not continue to profit from the intellectual labor and the digital footprint of our people. The economic freedom fighters calls for the establishment of a state-owned technology sector that leverages artificial intelligence, machine learning, and automation, not for private profit, but for public good. This sector must serve the developmental needs of our people and protect the national dignity of sovereignty. We must build people's innovation hubs in every province, especially in neglected rural areas.
Honorable member, my apologies. Just switch off the microphone of that member on the platform, please. Don't know who it is. Please continue, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Chair. No young person can meaningfully participate in the digital economy while burdened by hunger, homelessness, and unemployment. That is why we must harness technological innovation as a means to put food on the table, to construct dignified shelter for the homeless, and to create meaningful work for the jobless. Digital skills are meaningless without both the means to use them and access to the means of production. It is because of this reason that the EFF firmly upholds cardinal pillar number 1 on expropriation of land without
Honorable
compensation.
Member, the
True,
time has now expired.
true economic freedom and the ability for young people to build sustainable business,
Honorable Member,
productive farms,
time has
transform
expired.
digital enterprises depend on equitable redistribution of
Member,
wealth.
your
You
time
don't
has
have ears
expired.
now. How would we?
Yabona nje ngivumelana nalo sisi lo okhulumela emva kwamsezana ukuthi i-triple BEE ayibasizi ngalutho abantu abamnyama. Yos yona ikhandiwe yona kwathiwa ikhandela abantu abamnyama kodwa izinda se-corruption, izinda sokuthi efana namasitha. Amasitha ayindawo la afuneka ama-comrade aluthe khona. Ngo-March this year, uSihlelonzu expose indaba NYDA. Lapho kwaqashwe khona umuntu wasebenza as a senior researcher for 5 years. Engekho qualified, engenalutho. Kwathiwa no beka deployed political. Yini ke iyo lento le ingakho ngithi mina i-youth engo-76 oRamaphosa bayi-youth engo-76. Yibona fanele ngabe bathi usizi lomuntu omnyama siyalwazi. Ngakho asimenzele impilo yakhe ibe ngcono. Kodwa kunalokho ibona abacindezela abantu. Ya ngiyacela ukuma la. Ngizwe ukuthi wena kuthini ukuphawula kwakho ngalonke lolu daba. Ngale kwalokho mina nawe sidibana kwivideo elandelayo. Ngawuhlikhohlwa ukusubscribe, ushare, ulike, ucomment. Ungasupporta ukujoin membership, ungasupporta ukusidonatela noma ngamalini onayo. I-account kwi-comment ephiniwe. Ngiyabonga.